see. Right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Surbiton Neighbourhood Committee at Glenmore House. Particularly warm welcome to those members of the public with us here tonight. I'm Councillor Tom Reeve, and I'm chairing this meeting. In the event of an emergency and the sounding of an alarm, the emergency evacuation procedure is to leave the hall by the fire exit, the one behind you, and congregate in the car park. Anyone requiring assistance should remain in their seats, and you'll be assisted from the building. Anybody who wishes to follow the agenda from their tablet or smartphone can do so by going to the Council's website and following the links to Your Council and Council meeting calendar. This meeting is being filmed for live broadcast on the Council's YouTube channel, and an archive version will be available to view after the meeting finishes. The broadcast will be suspended during any adjournments in proceedings and if the committee resolves to consider information as exempt business. Members are reminded that microphones must be switched on and spoken into clearly for the broadcast. And can everyone please ensure that your mobile phones are switched off or in silent mode. So I'll start by inviting members to introduce themselves. And I'll start down on the end with Tolworth.
Good evening. I'm Mariana Gonçalves, Councillor for Tolworth.
Good evening. My name is Guy Tarlan. I'm a councillor for Tolworth Ward.
Hello, Andrew Waldridge, councillor for the Gateway to Kingston, Tolworth.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alison Holt, and I'm a councillor for Surbiton Hill Ward.
I'm Councillor Jürgen Jürgenathan from St Mark's and Seething Wells.
Councillor Peter Hurlinger from Alexander Ward.
Ian Manders from Alexandra Ward.
Okay, thank you very much, councillors. Just before continuing on with today's business, I'd just like to remind members of the public that the next committee meeting on the 17th of March will be held at the Corner House Community Arts Centre, which is at 116 Douglas Road, instead of our usual venue here at Glenmore House. So moving on to public questions, we have a period of no more than 30 minutes for questions on matters relevant to the committee. We like to encourage questions to be submitted in advance so that officers have an opportunity to answer them, although that's not absolutely necessary. And questions should be asked in the order, will be asked, in the order in which notice of them was received. But as a chair, I can exercise discretion to change that if need be. We have, I believe, 3 people from Seething Wells Action Group who are going to ask questions tonight. I don't believe we have any other questioners, do we?
Yes, Chair, no
further. No further questions. So we will invite members from SWAG. And when you're ready, just a quick reminder that please keep your questions to under 2 minutes, and Herman will inform you when there's 30 seconds left. And I'm aware you have a number of questions, but that's sort of 2 minutes for each question. And of course, you have a supplementary right to ask a supplementary question as well after you've been given the answer to your first question.
Yeah, so the first question is, whilst it's encouraging reading the update to learn of the listing applications made to Historic England, SWAG might be able to assist in building a stronger case for a future application. With this in mind, is it possible to look at the content of these applications? And if so, how do we go about this?
Okay, well, thank you very much. I have had a reply from officers, which I'll read. The applications can be shared as PDF copies on the condition that SWAG members agree to use them only internally for reference purposes. Anything relevant to data protection, such as landowner details, would be redacted. It should be however, be noted that since Historic England have only recently declined the applications for the seething wells filter beds, including Chelsea Waterworks drainage pumping house, the Chelsea Waterworks boundary railings, and 85 Portsmouth Road, they're unlikely to review these decisions for a considerable time.
Thank you. Understood. So those will be shared, I take it.
Yes, indeed. And Tim Naylor, yes.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, Historic England in their letter have implied that if there is a significant threat, then they will consider it. So obviously, if something crops up, then they'll probably accelerate it. But I think at the moment, they're probably, just going to leave it until something like that does arise.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Shall I ask this at because I've got two questions.
Yes, go ahead and
Okay.
ask your next question.
So
Thank you.
could we have clarification, point 12 in the update and the River Thames scheme, is there still a chance, because I couldn't quite understand this, that seething wells filter beds could be included in the scheme? And if that is the case, what can SWAG do to support or promote this?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question. So again, I've had a reply from officers as reported to Seething Wells All Councillor Working Group in August 2023. The Environment Agency provided a response to this request. The EA stated that there is no evidence to demonstrate that the inclusion of the site is necessary to enable or augment the strategic objectives and purpose of the River Thames scheme project, and that there is no compelling case in the public interest, without which there is no opportunity for seething wells to be included or considered as part of the River Thames scheme.
I see. Thank you.
Okay. Did you have a supplementary question to that?
Given the response from the Environment Agency, I think at the moment we kind of need to just wait in abeyance and see what happens. So,
okay, thank you.
Thank
you very much. Very good.
Mark.
Okay. My name's Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you move the microphones closer to you, please, so that people listening in at home will be able to hear this?
Okay. I'm Mark Herbert from the SWAG committee. Why has it taken 2 years to provide this update? Why, if the council has been engaging with Historic England and other agencies and having discussions with the owner, was SWAG not kept in the loop, especially given the level of community interest in this site?
Right. Okay. I think there may have been two questions in that, but I'm happy to answer those. Since the Place Committee made a resolution in September 2023, there have been 6 updates to this committee. Tonight will be the 7th, and 2 annual updates to the Place Committee. Paragraph 11 of the report is relevant. All agendas are published 5 clear working days before the meetings, and you can find forecasts of agenda items to be considered by committees in the forward plan on the council's website.
And the second part of his question.
Right. And I believe you also asked about why the council, if the council's been engaging with Historic England, why SWAG was not kept in the loop. So SWAG is kept in the loop by the 3 annual reports going to the Surbiton Neighbourhood Committee as outlined in the previous answer. as agreed through the recommendations from the Seething Wells All Councillor Working Group, of which SWAG were involved. So do you have any supplementary questions to that?
Yeah, I've got one more question. Point 9 of the update report suggests a working group would be set up if a potential proposal is put forward. Representatives of SWAG have met with councillors Green and Yoganathan, who were positive in July about the proposal and have worked hard to secure a meeting with other councillors responsible for development and the environment. Can we request the committee approve councillors Hayes and Manders engage with the proposal and, if considered worthwhile, convene a working group to fully explore its potential?
Okay, thank you very much. First, it's worth noting that Councillor Hayes is not a portfolio holder anymore. So it would be, this would just go to Councillor Manders, as that falls under his remit. As he is both the portfolio holder for both development and environment. There's also some question about the kind of interpretation of that recommendation F in the report, the final report of the committee, of which SWAG was part. The idea there was, as I understand it, and as it's been explained to me, is that the model that was used for those meetings was considered to be so good, to work so well, that there was going to be used as a model for addressing other community issues. So it wasn't a reference particularly to any further issues to do with Seething Wells, but any other sort of community issues of a sort of a similar nature that might come forward. And that's, so in terms of further, in terms of further proposals or whatnot coming forward, there is nothing further for us to work on. As far as we understand, the developer has made it, the owners of the site, have made it perfectly clear what their intentions are in terms of what they want to do with the site, which is to see, to make every effort to get planning permission to develop it, even if that means going to appeal and effectively overruling the council. So I hope that answers your question, but if you have a supplementary question, I'm happy to take it.
Well, I mean, we have got a proposal. This proposal is still on the table, and we thought we were going to progress it further in the autumn. And there's been a wall of silence since then.
Oh, sorry. Could you clarify which proposal is this?
This is the proposal which we discussed with Councillor Green and Yoganathan back in July. It's still on the table, and our contact wants to discuss it further with the councillors to see if it's a viable alternative.
Okay, I'm not personally familiar with that, but I would go to Councillor Manders, who's raised his hand.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think time has overtaken the proposal. Are you talking about the proposal from Andrew Cobden?
Yes.
Good, okay. The main problem we have, and officers have tried to keep in touch on a very regular basis with the developer, is that, or rather the owner of the site, is that they show no sign at all of selling that site or or using it for other than a very comprehensive development, in other words, building of housing on that site. So we could work up all the kind of plans we like, but the reality is that we couldn't implement them because the developer is not going to sell that particular site. And the reality is that since the last general election, of course, that site is worth more, even though we have done our best as a council to protect that site, including making it metropolitan open land, that the Labour government has told basically local authorities is if they can't fulfil their housing targets, which are imposed on the local authorities without consultation, if they can't fulfil their housing land supply targets from the brownfield sites, then development in the green belt and metropolitan open land will be acceptable to the government. We are in that situation, and in fact that is referenced by a quote from the developer in the main report later on. The other factor is that the Labour London Mayor has said that if he discovers that a local authority is minded to refuse an application of over 50 dwellings, that he will call it in for the decision. And he's also going by the rules of the set by the Labour government, which is to encourage building on the green belt and metropolitan open land. So we are now in a very difficult position as a community. Effectively, even though we are standing up collectively to try and preserve this site as an open site, and a site hopefully that could be restored to wildlife and to public use, the reality is that the developer is now sitting on something which is worth a lot more since the general election. And they have given every indication that they wish to develop that site. And I think almost certainly, Chair, that is what they're going to do. And we then, as a local authority, will presumably get a planning application. Our position is quite clear. We've declared it as metropolitan open land. We don't feel that this is surplus metropolitan land in any way. This is land which should be preserved as metropolitan open land. We've made that very clear as administration. But if we decide to turn down that planning application, or even contemplate it, then it will be called in by the London Mayor. And because we can't fulfil these housing land supplies, then clearly then there's a prejudice then to approve an application, obviously depending on what the application is. So, Chair, it's with much regret that I say this tonight, is that despite the fact that we have put in years of effort to try and preserve this site, working with the community and with groups like yourselves, we are now in a very difficult position, and we will have to see what emerges over the next year or so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Manders. I think we're fortunate to have the portfolio holder for planning and development on our neighbourhood committee, and I think he's was able to provide a quite clear picture of what's likely to happen with that site. I see somebody with their hand up in the audience, but unfortunately we don't we don't generally take questions from members of the audience if you haven't put in a green slip beforehand. But you're welcome to engage with councillors after the meeting about any of the issues here, and I'd be happy to talk to you as well. Yes, sorry, did you have a?
Just sorry, in response, if that's okay to what
I think we'll allow this. Yeah, allow as a supplementary to the supplementary. But yes, but I think
additional information.
Yeah, indeed. In the spirit of dialogue, let's carry on.
Apparently, in 2022, the London Mayor, did confirm that the site was important to nature, and this notion persists. So I'm a little bit confused as to the dispute over whether or not it can be developed. I think we're a little bit confused by that.
Okay, I think Councillor Manders set out quite clearly. We've designated it as metropolitan open land, and the Labour government and the Labour mayor have made it clear that they are minded to develop on metropolitan open land as well as certain areas of greenbelt. So it's not a disagreement with us. We've designated as metropolitan open land. What could happen is that the developer would put in an application. If we were minded to refuse it, or then rather than it even going to appeal, like being rejected and going to appeal, the mayor might just step in and say, we're going to make the decision on this because it's a site which would presumably have more than 50 units of housing on it.
But he'd be going against what he said in 2022 regarding the site.
I think you would have to. I think you'd have to probably take that up. Yeah. I'll come to this. I think you'd have to take that up with the London mayor. Councillor Manders.
Yeah, I think that's the most important, Chair, is that it's the London mayor who needs to answer these kind of questions. The reality is he has changed his mind over this policy. It did take him a few months to think about it, but he has changed his mind, and due to Labour's policy about housing targets, and as we know, it's going very badly in London at the moment for building of housing. So they've doubled down effectively on this.
Maybe he'll change his mind again.
Can I just finish my answer? And the other problem with this policy imposed on us by the Labour government is that they're saying, as it were, that the initial target is Greenbelt and also metropolitan open land, which has been degraded. Now, the reality is that the owner of this site has degraded this site. Where there was nature has been scraped away, in my understanding. It's also now littered with detritus of various sorts, abandoned boats and God knows what else. And we've heard also about the visual state of some of the property on there. And that's an open sesame, I'm afraid, as far as the government policy is concerned. If Greenbelt and metropolitan open land has been degraded, then it's no longer of value as Greenbelt, and then it's then open for development effectively. So that's a double bind we're in. Can I just repeat again, Chair, is that we have done and we are doing everything we can to preserve this site, but the attention now must move on to the London Mayor and to what his policies are going to be. And if there is a proposal for development being put forward by the developer, then clearly, and it's more than 50 dwellings, then it will be called in by the London Mayor because of our policies here as a council, and it will be his decision. And so that's where the attention has to go next. Thank you.
Okay, yes. Any?
There's one other question.
Oh, you have one more question. Yes, thank you.
Why haven't RBK served a Section 215 order for the removal of graffiti from the pump house building and the rubbish clearance of the site?
Okay. Yes, this has come up. This has come up before. I think there was an issue with the fact that the owners had put in a planning application, which we had rejected for development of the pump house, and I think there was some concern about the if we putting a Section 215 order on it, given that we had basically refused them the opportunity to develop the site and improve it. However, I think that enough time has passed that we probably need to have another look at that.
Well, can you not probably and actually? Is that a possibility?
I'm sorry?
Could you actually, rather than probably, please?
I see. We would need to speak to officers about that, but we can look into it and come back. And I believe Councillor Manders had something to say.
I was just going to say that let's discuss it and see what we can do. Okay, we had some success with the railings with such an order, so let's see whether it may be possible to do something similar for the other parts of the site.
Can I say something? Would you mind if I say, gentlemen and ladies, you are giving carte blanche for developers to buy beautiful, scenic, fabulously important sites and degrade them in a disgusting way on the basis that if they do so, they have their development box ticked.
Okay,
That's
sorry, do you have a,
absolute-
is that, this is for...
And I think you ought to think that that's a bad thing.
Okay, was there a question?
Yeah, I think you ought to think that that's a bad thing, don't you?
Well, okay, Councillor Manders, you go right ahead.
Yeah, okay, I completely refute that. This council has spent considerable amounts of public funds defending the green belt in particular, and also metropolitan open land. And, you know, for example, there's been a site in the green belt which has in the end cost £250,000, right, to basically, in terms of tackling a particular owner or user of that site, and that they were doing things which are against the rules of the green belt. So this council has a track record, right, of enforcement when it comes to these violations. We've already did an order on the railings, and that was served, and that has been done. The railings have been painted and preserved. You know, we'll look at this again, but I totally refute, right, that we are not doing our best over this, and we have spent the money to show that we
Thank you,
have.
Councillor. And don't you think...
I'm sorry.
Can I ask just one more question?
Well,
it's very short. Don't you... No, don't you think you ought to consider the historical and healthcare issues relating to this site?
Okay, thank you. I believe we have the evidence that we have submitted to Historic England to try and deal with that. But thank you very much for your questions. Again, I think we have done everything possible over the years to protect that site and others around the borough, as Councillor Manders has said. So yeah, I would refute what you're saying there as well.
Chair, I just have a question through you,
yes.
Which is I don't understand what the reference is to healthcare, but if they can write to me, what they mean by healthcare, then I will understand.
It's a very historic site.
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry, this is. You're a bit naughty there, Councillor. We're not supposed to open this into a debate. This is question time. So this is a chance for residents to ask questions of us, but without getting into a debate over the issue. But if anybody would like to carry on this discussion afterwards, you're welcome to engage with your councillors on that. So there being no further questions, I say thank you very much for coming tonight. We do appreciate your questions. Appreciate questions from any of the residents, any residents on any issues relevant to this committee. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, we have no notice of intention to submit a petition and apologies. We'll move on to apologies for absence. Herman, do we have any apologies?
Thank you, Chair. Apologies for absence were received from Councillor Jackie Davis, Liz Green, and Diane White.
Thank you very much, Herman. So moving on to declarations of interest, members are asked to declare any disclosable pecuniary and other or any other registrable or non-registrable interests relevant to items on this agenda. Do we have any declarations? Councillor Hurlinger.
Yes, thank you. In relation to the community grant relating to Alexander Drive, in the spirit of openness and transparency, I just want to record that I live within a few minutes' walk of that parade of shops.
Thank you, Councillor. And I assume you will you be remaining in the part of the discussion?
I will, thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other declarations of interest? No, thank you. Right. Item 5, the minutes. Do members agree the minutes from the last meeting are a true and accurate record? Agreed. That sounds unanimous to me. Thank you very much. Right, and now we move on to, we come back to Seething Wells for an update from our officer, Tim Naylor. This is in your agenda packs. You may refer to Appendix B for details. This is not an item for decision, but the committee is asked to note the updates provided in the report. Just noting the interest from the public in this item, I'd like to remind people in the public gallery who wish to make comments that you can fill in a green slip now, if you like, and pass it to Herman. I need to emphasize that under the procedure rules, public comments are only permitted prior to the commencement of members' debate. Once the debate is started, I can't permit further comments or any other participation from the public, just the rules of our committee. So I will ask Tim Naylor, Director of Planning and Regeneration, to give a brief introduction to the report. This will be followed by any public comments and then debate from members of the committee. So, Tim.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so this is the first of 3 reports that will come to this committee over the course of the next year. We've got 9 recommendations that were all set out with the All-Councillor Working Group that then reported up to Place Committee. So there'll also be an annual report to Place Committee as well at the end of this year. So going through the recommendations, some of this is broadly being covered in the earlier conversations and questions, but I'll go through them anyway. So recommendation A was exploring the likelihood of costing out a nature reserve for public access in terms of recognising the heritage conservation, including the possibility potentially of designation of site of local nature reserve. Well, that's not gone anywhere. I have no further update on that. The council's dialogue with the landowners, as you know, has confirmed that they don't have any intention to partner up with us or to look at disposing of the site in order to enable that to become a nature reserve. So we haven't spent the time or the money in terms of costing that out until the position changes. So that's pretty much static, that recommendation. Recommendation B, this was about getting a land valuation in order to understand the options for buying or leasing the site, and then potentially to have conversations with the owners about whether the council could secure a trust. That's also been on pause in terms of the cost of actually getting the Red Book financial assessment on the site. That is, however, underway now with my colleagues in property are looking at that. They're looking at the cost of actually getting that, getting that piece of work carried out. I have no idea how much it will cost, but I think it will be quite considerable. So I'll come back when we've got more information on that. At the moment, I don't have a budget for it. So it's really just identifying how much it is likely to cost and what the potential might be for funding that. Recommendation C, we've covered broadly. So we did put in the spot listing application back early in last year, and we got an initial response on the filter beds back in January of this year. August last year. And then in January this year, they've given us a response to the other 3, which were the filter beds, the waterworks, drainage, pumping house, and the railings. So they've collectively, as we discussed earlier, decided that none of them fill the criteria for listing at the current stage, unless there is a significant threat, in which case they might review it again at some point in the future. But as we've discussed, we will give you the information in terms of our application, which was pretty extensive, put together by our Heritage and Conservation Officer, who certainly knows the process. Yeah, that's pretty thorough, but we will share that with you. As we said, it will be redacted, and it will just be used with your integrity, just for internal use. Recommendation D, about looking at environmental schemes. Again, we did have a biodiversity officer who's now left. We've now got another biodiversity officer. This is not high on the list of their priorities at the moment because they've got a shed load of other stuff that they're currently looking at, having just commenced at the last year. But I will pick that up. There's been no response from London Wildlife Trust. We did have a conversation with them initially with the biodiversity officer, as was in post then, but there's nothing that's taken place since. So I will follow that up and I can provide updates subsequently. Recommendation E is about making sure that seething wells is integrated and a key factor in terms of the Riverside South Conservation Area, a management plan, an assessment, and indeed the Thames Landscape Strategy as well. So those are in progress. We've got no significant update on that, but they are catalogued in terms of that being done when that piece of work is moved forward, as will with all the other conservation areas in the borough that we're currently looking at as well. Recommendation F is reporting back with I think this one relates to using the working group that was originally set up as a one-off. As you know, the Seething Wells Working Group, it was always destined to be a finite period. It actually took a lot longer than it was intended, but it did follow up with recommendations for Place Committee, which is where we are now in terms of those recommendations and reporting back to this committee 3 times a year. So my interpretation of that particular recommendation was, as we've discussed, that it would be used as a model for anything similar that might be picked up, to use that as a way to engage residents with councillors. But if there's a desire and a suggestion that we use that model to reignite the conversations that took place on seething wells, then that's a councillor decision, which I understand you'll be reviewing as councillors. Recommendation G really is the confirmation of the conversations that I've had with the owners in November of last year and January of this year. The quotes in italics are pretty much what they've said verbatim. So they have spent time, considerable amounts of time actually, meeting with councillors. That's not, as from their perspective, come up with any credibly clear solution about how we would enable them to move forward with their aspirations. And they're not necessarily willing to engage, although I have had a subsequent conversation over the phone recently, and they would be interesting if councillors are willing to have a serious conversation about a development that would be considerable in its nature and its scale on the site, but they're not wanting to have that conversation if it doesn't lead to anything constructive. So I did say to them when I spoke to them recently that I would pick that up with you, Chair, at some time subsequently. So I can do that subsequent to this meeting. Recommendation H, that the working group will continue its work under the auspices of the community, will work providing updates 3 times a year to Surbiton Neighbourhood Committee and annually to the Place Committee. So that is intended to be the thing that keeps you in the loop. So the dates are on the calendar. You can access the council's website. The reports will be published in advance. So the reports will go through the recommendations and they will provide you with that information, which does keep you in the loop. So that is the response to recommendation H. Recommendation I is the final one, which is about the River Thames scheme. You've already had an update in terms of the potential for the River Thames scheme to include seething wells, which has been rejected by the Environment Agency because it's not in the public interest. But the dialogue that I've quoted in the update is a verbatim from an email that I received from the Environment Agency quite recently on 28th of January. And that's where they are. They have paused. They are reviewing things. They have had a sort of project assessment but they are moving forward with the development consent order process, and obviously they're compiling their submission to the planning inspectorate in order to prepare for that examination through the development consent order process. And that is my update. Happy to take questions, councillors.
Well, thank you very much, Tim, for the update. So we move on to public comments. There are 3 members of the public who registered to comment on this item. This is an opportunity for comments. We've already had question time, so we'd like you to keep your comments to comments. You have 3 minutes, and then Herman would let you know when there's 30 seconds left. And so our first person is Phil Renton. Oh, he's not here. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought Phil. Oh, sorry. Okay. So then Andrew Cobden, please. Oh, yes, please come to the table and speak into the microphone. I believe it's already live. So.
Sorry, that was a bit of a scribble.
Yeah.
I thought I had to get it out before Tim started talking.
Yeah. Indeed, thank you. So, like I said, three minutes for comments, please.
That's fine. I haven't prepared this, so bear with me. I started discussions with SWAG about 18 months ago, and I'm not going to speak for them because they have very strong views about certain things, but the process that we have adopted for the last 12 months or so has been that the principle of some development is acceptable. Now, what that development is, obviously the developer wants to have a scheme as large as possible to drive as much value as possible. And the community can get behind a proposal for some development, but it is only on the condition that significant re-landscaping is done to the filter beds, the heritage of those filter beds are respected and preserved, and that public access is made available around those filter beds onto the river's edge to carry on the Queen's Promenade. We feel there is an opportunity. We accept the London plan, we accept what the Mayor's doing, and we accept the Labour government's drive towards more housing. That's a given. We can't do much about that. What we would like to do is help the council prepare for those proposals that come from the developer and structure a proper argument about why and how you can do these things in a very viable way that will deliver exceptional change for the community. I've done it as a developer myself in large urban centres across the country. So you have some skills available to you for free to try and get the best out of this. And I encourage you to work with us to get that right.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for your comments, Andrew. And our next speaker is Sharon Sumner, please.
Sorry, I'm a bit rusty, so bear with me. I'll be really quick. I'm going to rewind nearly 4 years ago. There's a leaflet that went out all across Surbiton. Who do you trust to give you a nature reserve on Seething Wells filter beds? You might all remember that leaflet. In these 4 years, it appears to me the working group, despite what Mr. Naylor is saying of being a model of great community engagement, so far hasn't achieved anything. Nothing. The points that you made and were brought forward after those initial meetings, which is over 3.5 years ago, you haven't even actioned, and you have the audacity to turn up to a meeting with members of the community and tell them, oh, sorry, we've not done that yet. I'll follow it up later. Oh, I've not done that one yet. I'll follow it up later. And they deserve better. They deserve better than to have their councillors and their council officers blame everybody else when there are things you could have done and there are things that you could have achieved. And meanwhile, that site has degraded week by week, draining by draining, clearance by clearance, planning, going through the system, and you've done some great work trying to stop that, but there's been You haven't done any enforcement on the areas around the pump house. There's been lots of things that you could have done that you haven't. And I really do think, please, I beg you, to try a lot harder, because Seething Wells and Surbiton deserve it. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we'll now move on to discussion. Again, just a reminder, we're not required to pass a resolution on this agenda item. Anybody who wishes to, any of the committee members who wish to speak, could you raise your hands, please? So, okay. Okay, I have Councillor Manders. Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor.
Okay, well, I was very interested, Chair, in what Andrew Cobden had to say. But part of the issue that we've had is that the view taken by this council, by this administration, representing the community, and the community views as we know them, have been diametrically opposed to what the owner of the site wants. And we have worked to try and keep the site open, particularly with the designation for metropolitan open land. But it's clear that the owner wants to develop the site as fully as possible. So we've already turned down one planning application, if you recall, because we thought it was unsuitable. Even though it was on a limited area of the site, we still felt it had an impact on the open nature of the rest of the site, and so we turned down that application, which involved the pump house. Let's see. I mean, my guess, Chair, is that there will be some kind of application by the owner of the site at some point, probably in the next 12 months, and we'll see what they put forward. There obviously will be a public consultation phase, and I think that's probably the opportunity then to see how close what the developer is proposing to what Mr. Cobden or SWAG, if he's representing SWAG on this particular issue, are saying. Let's have a look at that. But, you know, I want to make it absolutely clear, you know, representing the community's views, we want to keep this site open as much as possible. I mean, essentially really along the lines that it is at the moment, with the pump house, but the rest of it open. And that's what we intend to do. And I completely refute what Sharon Sumner has said. There are limitations in the end to the powers of this council. This is a private area of land. You know, the problem was made when this public land effectively was sold off to the private sector. It's an extremely sensitive site. It blocks the view of, if there was development on it, it would block the view for many residents who live, you know, to the east of this site, on the east of the Portsmouth Road. Any development there would be extremely controversial. And I think we've made plain what our policies are over many years on this. So, Chair, let's see what comes forward. I think there will be an opportunity then, if SWAG are putting forward some kind of compromise of some kind with a partial development of the site, an open site. So let's see if there's a match between what the developer is proposing and what SWAG isn't. And then there's an opportunity then, obviously, then to make a contribution through the consultation process. Thank you.
Right. Sorry. No. Well, I appreciate your intention to keep it brief, but can you follow up after the meeting with? It sounds like your comment is directed perhaps at what Councillor Manders has just said. If you could follow up with him after the meeting, that would be much appreciated. We did have an opportunity here for people, for residents to speak. So I'm moving on to Councillor Yoganathan.
Anyway, thank you very much indeed. I think, you know, you have asked quite a lot of good questions as a part of the community. Okay, that's what was missing, and ever since we decided to work along with SWAG and created this issue since 23 to now, it has certainly produced something. One of the points we have to say to you, like Ian is the lead person, he has said it all. You know that particular site has been under pressure for the last 24 years because we wanted that area to be exactly what we wanted, so as your dream. Unfortunately, they were always problem, but we have rejected it 3 times, and it went to Bristol Inspectorate, rejected. But now the owner is very clearly saying it, they don't want to sell it. And that is the biggest problem we are having. It is not my site. It is, they happen to be in my area, metropolitan open land with all the heritage. Yes, we are giving so much of pressure, but they need to agree with us, whatever they are coming through. But while I'm here, I must say that I met with Andrew Cobden. He came along with some of the proposal. Yeah, he lives in our part of the world. And myself and Liz obviously met with him, along with Mark, and there was a here. So that was a good meeting. So in a way, whatever you have offered, Andrew, it's a great offer. We will definitely make use of that. But in terms of some of the things, expectation, I wanted this one, I can't do it. Neither can Ian Manders. It's so many bosses around. London Mayor is part of us as well. I know him very well, but I can't tell him you can't do that. So we all have to work together to give that community input. And I am pretty sure, let's wait and see what the developer coming through. He certainly think, because of the latest government situation where we are on the planning things, because you are all very clever people. They want so many houses, they want to build on green places, they want to build on my metropolitan open land. But I'm not attacking them. Just let them come up with the things. But the owner thinks I bought it at a ridiculous price from Thames Water. Now I am not selling it. I want to hold on. So that's a frustration we are having. But when we are working together, look at it, Seething Wells has come back here. We are talking that subject so effectively. But if anything comes through, we will work together, and we will certainly take Andrew Cobden offer, because he understands the whole thing and we needed that. And let's hope, let's wait and see what is happening.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Holt, I believe you wanted to speak.
Yeah, mine is probably a question, because as has been outlined, that it comes to Surbiton Neighbourhood and then it goes to place. So my question would be to Tim Naylor. We've had some comments made, some suggestions made from the residents who've turned up today. So I just wondered if it would be possible to get something put into the paper that comes to place to give an update. I know that the chair has said that you'll take it away, but if we could get an update on the graffiti in the substation, if we can see if there can be some update or put into that, and find out whether we can do anything now.
Yes, Tim, would you like to?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, just in response to that, yeah, I'll speak to the comms team and see what we can come up with by way of a some update in the press. It also might be worth getting some sort of notification of future meetings as well. I don't know, I'll give that some thought. I'll speak to comms and see what they suggest as well about how we can make it more publicly available.
Councillor Holt.
It was, well, the thing that I've taken away that we're going to look into was the section 215, for the graffiti on the, and the dilapidation and the site.
Tim.
Yeah, we can look at that. I mean, the process that generally we go through is that we've got a portal on the website which requests people to report breaches or potential breaches. Then that can go into the system. But I did speak to our enforcement officer today, and there's nothing on the website that has requested that we consider that. And we don't routinely go around the borough searching for potential planning breaches. We normally wait for those to be notified. So yeah, if there's a recommendation that we start looking at that, then we can go down onto the site and I can get enforcement officers to assess whether whether there's a case for it. Section 215s, as you know, are about amenity, protecting amenity. So there will be, an assessment to undertake in terms of whether it's expedient to actually move forward with the Section 215. They're quite time-consuming, they're quite lengthy, and they cost money. So there are budget implications as well to that.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Councillor Manders?
Yes, just very quickly, could I suggest then that the ward councillors log an appropriate complaint on the website so that the process can be started?
Okay. So the ward councillors will take that away. Thank you very much. Okay. Are there any further comments from members? Yes, Councillor. You go right ahead. Go right ahead, Councillor. Councillor Wooldridge.
Tim. Sorry to it's, I know it's me. Hi, Tim. I've been following this nearly for 4 years, the level of work that's been done on it, and particularly a great many people, but particularly you. Forgive me, in my mind, I think did we not introduce an Article 4 direction on this? I mean, I don't know. I think in my mind we did.
Should we give Tim a chance to answer
yes, yes.
Answer the question?
An Article 4 direction is a device that enables the removal of permitted development rights. There aren't any permitted development rights on that site. So it would apply to things like the government's office to residential conversion and Class M and HMOs of a certain size. So, yeah, they can be used to extinguish permitted development rights.
Thank you, Tim.
Forgive me, I just thought there could have been that's great for answering that question, because what I would say, I mean, I understand the residents feel that the progress has been slow, but in my near 4 years of being on this, it's correct to say, it isn't correct to say that nothing's been done. The council has taken a number of concrete steps to protect seething wells. It's been trying to, protect and stop uncontrolled development on the site. Enforcement notices, refusing planning applications and defending those decisions. So I've seen a great deal of work being...
Sorry, excuse me, can we not have any comments from the audience, please? We're having a discussion. This is a meeting in public. This is a meeting in public, not always a public meeting. So, Councillor Wooldridge, would you carry on, please?
Thank you, Chair. So it's been serving enforcement notices, refusing planning applications and defending those decisions. It has been protecting the site for nature, for nature conversation. Okay. Well, on that laughter, I shall leave it alone. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Wooldridge. I would just, well, if there are no further comments from other members, I just wanted to conclude by saying that thank you, Tim, for the update on this. It's one of many that we've had here at the committee, and they showing the progress that we've been making. It is just an update. I'm sure there will be more discussion and more debate to be had after this. Just a reminder that it is going to there will be further updates coming to this committee and of course the annual update that goes to the Place Committee. And as for the graffiti issue, the ward councillors, the ward councillor singular who's here today, has undertaken to report that. So apart from that, we're very much in the hands of other forces, namely the owners of the site, the Labour government, and the Labour mayor, who will have their own views on this particular site, as well as many others. that we're considering and concerned about. So thank you very much, Tim, for coming. Thank you to residents who've turned up tonight to ask questions and make comments. I think it's I found it very useful. So, oh, sorry. We need to, oh yes, procedurally, we need to,
there's no resolution.
There is no resolution. No, this basically brings to a close this agenda item. We don't need to have a vote to note it. Sorry, the. Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. Please. Okay. So yes. So if we could note those recommendations in the report. Agreed. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So moving on to the next item, which is item 7, which is our community grants program. And we have officer in attendance tonight, James Geach, who will talk us through the 3 grants that we have. The members of the committee and meeting participants can refer to Appendix C of the agenda pack for further information and details. So without further ado, I'd hand over to James.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, as you note, the committee's been asked to consider...
sorry, James, I'm being urgently flagged down by Councillor Holt here.
I had my hand up for quite a while, but you were reading out, so don't worry about it. It was actually just to say that I've heard, got apologies from Councillor Shaper. So she said that she had said something, but her name wasn't, didn't hear her name being read out.
Right, okay. And if Councillor Shaper is watching, I do apologise. Yes, she has sent her apologies for not being able to come tonight. Okay, so we have, sorry, so thank you very much for that. And going back to James, please present your report.
Yes, thank you, Chair. As you've noted, the committee's been asked to consider 3 different allocations for community grants as part of its community grants programme, and a report for that purpose has been appended to the agenda as Appendix C. If you permit me, Chair, I'd actually like to start with the third of those allocations, which is a request from the Elfa Road Residents Association to support their over 60s Easter lunch. We're very fortunate to be joined by Mary Palmer from the association this evening, and she's very kindly agreed to very briefly introduce what they would do with the funding if it was allocated. Thank you, Chair.
Right. Welcome, Mary, and please go ahead. I think it should be live. Yeah.
Right. Good evening. I'm back again, looking for your support. I think James has shared some of my photographs from the other events. Okay. The one I didn't have is the Jubilee one, because the only photograph I took was the coach because it was so important that day. We're putting on another lunch this year for the over 60s. It's mostly for those living on their own or the sheltered accommodation, which is now called Housing for Older People, have a lot of people who live in the dispersed scheme and they're forgotten about. They're independent living or general needs and they're always forgotten about. But we reach out to them, so we cover places like Charles Lesser, Fountain Court, Gooding Close, Edinburgh Court, and those areas. So we include everybody. We provide a 3-course lunch. I think some of the councillors have been to 1 or 2 of the events. This year we are going to have an entertainer who is quite good. And he gets everybody organised, that's what he does. We also have a quiz. And some prizes. Raffle prizes are donated by the public, which are quite nice. I usually keep it to about 35 to 40 people. And that's about it. Nice three-course lunch. And you're welcome to come and visit us when we put it on.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mary. And members are, just to let you know, there are photos that were sent to your councillor emails that Mary has sent to us, which show some of the events that we've helped to, that she has organised, and we have helped out with a little bit of funding in the past. So I would just, so thank you very much to Mary. Do members have any questions for Mary about her application? Okay, comment. Would this be a comment directed to Mary? Yes? Oh, okay, because we'll come on to our debate or discussion after we've had a chance. This is a chance for anybody to ask any questions of Mary that, you know, to clarify anything. I think we're all pretty familiar with the work you've done in the past. Yeah. I've certainly seen.
Well, you've been to a few of my events as well. So.
Yeah, I've been to a few of the events, and I've seen how well organised they are. I suppose, will there be anything different about this?
There won't be anything different about it. Everything is still, it'll be still, everything is logged, what we spend, how we spend it,
right,
and things like that.
Of course, yeah.
There will be nothing different this year.
Right, okay. But in terms of the you know, what will happen at the event, it's right. Well, I think they've got a very successful formula.
They've always been successful and always oversubscribed.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Well, there's certainly been a lot of people at the Legion, the ones I've gone to. Does anybody have any further any questions for Mary? I think we're pretty. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Mary.
Thank you.
So now follows from me to move from the chair that we approve the allocation of £1,000 of council award funding to support the Alpha Road Residents Association over 60s Easter lunch, as set out in paragraph 10 of the report to be approved. Do I have a seconder? Yes, Councillor Yoganathan. Yeah. Oh, yes, Councillor Yoganathan to second. Thank you very much. Would members of the committee like to make any comments? Councillor Holt and Councillor Wooldridge. Yes, and go ahead, Councillor Holt.
Thank you. I would I'm very supportive of this application. I think it's great when members of the community get up and do things and do it for others. So I'm really pleased that Mary is continuing, has come and asked for money, and that she's got, it sounds like an oversubscribed list of people on the Alpha Road estate who are keen to participate. It's a good community event, and I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Wooldridge?
You seem surprised, Chair. Yes, it's Councillor Wooldridge. Mary, thank you very, very much. Star, as always. Sadly, even though I'm the age group, I never seem to get, I seem to be too late to get in. But thanks, Mary. It's really important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. I just wanted to make sure that I pronounced your name correctly. Yeah. Councillor Yoganathan.
What can I say? I think I know this Alpha Road estate, and you were doing an excellent job for me. I can say about last 20 years plus. The original councillor was there, and then we have done everything there. Mary, at least you are keeping it going. Our support is always there, and I do normally come there, and we will. I am well above that age, but when I come in, please look after me, and I will support you 100%. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Are there any further comments from members? Okay, I would just echo what we've heard here. I think it's wonderful that I mean, as Councillor Holt said, it's great that you carry on that you've carried on doing these events and continue to stand up as a member of the community to do these things. So thank you. So, right, so if there's no further discussion, can I take this as unanimous or do we need a vote? Okay, that's agreed unanimously. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for coming tonight. And we now move on, go back to James.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So if I could return to the first request. This is a request from Surbiton Hill ward members for the provision of hanging baskets on your road, as you can see in paragraphs 5 and in map 1, showing the locations of the proposed 7 hanging baskets. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So I will now move the following recommendation, which is the allocation of £931 of council award funding for the provision of 7 hanging baskets on Yule Road, as set out in paragraphs 5 to 6 of the report, be approved. And do I have a second? Councillor Holt, thank you very much. Do members of the committee wish to make any comments? Councillor Holt, Councillor Hurlinger. Go ahead, Councillor Holt. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was waiting to see if I was given the green light there.
So. Yeah, sorry. I thought I said go ahead.
Okay, thanks. The reason I've done this, and actually it's one of my residents had written in asking if we could find a way to make the section of Yule Road more green. And I have tried, spoken to officers, walked the length of the area, looking to see if there was any places that we could put some tree beds in. And the answer was from the officers was that it was a constrained site with, you know, as everyone knows, we've got cycleway and various things going on there. So that was when she suggested that we maybe consider something else, like, and I'd said in the past, we've done hanging baskets. So this was in relation to her request, and she can't be here this evening, but she has written something that I was going to read out, if that's okay, because this is where it's come from, and she lives in that section of the road. So and this is Satvinder Daub. When I stand outside my property and look to the left, I see a row of shops along a road that feels run down and lacking in character or appeal. It gives me the impression of living in a concrete jungle. In addition, we have recently seen a couple of very large buildings constructed on or close to proximity to Yule Road, which has further intensified the urban feel of the area. At present, the row of shops mainly attracts people who visit with a specific purpose. They enter one store, complete their errand, and then leave. There is little reason for anyone to enjoy the space. It is well established that greenery improves mental health well-being. It enhances the attractiveness of an area and quite simply makes people feel happier. Areas with more planting and trees are often perceived as more prestigious and welcoming places to visit. Green spaces contribute to improved quality of life, economic vitality, and help create urban environments that are both livable and sustainable. I would like to see this part of Yule Road become more inviting and enjoyable for everyone, with greenery viewed as a necessity rather than a luxury. I therefore propose enhancing the area with more trees along the road. If space is limited, at the very least, hanging baskets could be introduced to soften the streetscape and add visual interest. In conclusion, increasing greenery will improve mental health well-being, enhance quality of life, and bring economic benefits, and help create a more sustainable and pleasant urban environment. My aim is to make this part of Yule Road more welcoming and enjoyable for residents and visitors alike, recognising greenery as an essential component of a thriving community rather than a mere nicety. Yeah. So that's her words. I sort of fully endorse those comments. I think it would be nice to have something for those shops that have been under a lot of pressure recently. They came to previous committees to say how challenging it has been with the works happening on Yule Road, and I would like to, for this year anyway, to get the hanging baskets put up there. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Hurlinger.
Yeah, just a couple of questions, please. I noticed that you've put down that it would be for the summer period. Are you able to be a bit more precise about how long it would actually be in? Would you know when the month it would start and the month it would end?
Grown in the spring, and they're put up in early summer, and they're watered and kept for the duration of the summer. From memory, this is from memory, I think that usually it's towards mid to end of May when they actually go up.
Okay, thank you.
And the advantages has been outlined by Councillor Holt, reading from the resident. I also had a resident further down the Yule Road sort of mention about the importance of greenery, in particular about trees being helpful in terms of reducing noise. I presume that it doesn't really make much difference what flowers are in the hanging basket. Then there's not going to be any difference between which ones are in terms of whether they will reduce the amount of noise. I think you need something more substantial in hanging baskets. But just sort of thought I'd raise whether there's any variation in what type of plants are actually put in the hanging basket, whether that would have any effect on things like noise.
The short answer is I don't know. There's a standard sort of hanging basket sort of selection of plants they use. I confess I don't have that to hand, but what their impact is on sort of noise or road noise. Given the size of the hanging baskets, I suggest if anything it would probably be minimal, but I confess I don't know.
Okay, are there any further questions or comments from members? Right, okay. So you've heard the recommendation. Can I take that as unanimous, or do we need a vote? Agreed? Agreed? Unanimous? Okay. Thank you very much. That's unanimously approved. So we'll now go back to James for the next.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So in a similar vein, the final request you've been asked to consider this evening is from Berrylands Ward members, and this is for new planters. So potentially 2 new planters on Alexander Drive and 1 on Shilton Drive, and some images have been provided, images 1, 2 and 3, of roughly where the members have in mind. But we are being asked to delegate authority to myself in consultation with those members to finalise those exact locations if the committee is minded to agree the funding this evening. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, James. So I'll move the recommendation that the allocation of £6,750 of Councillor Ward funding for the provision of 3 large planters in Berrylands Ward, as set out in paragraph 79 of the report, be approved and authority be delegated to the neighbourhood manager in consultation with the relevant ward councillors to determine the final locations for the planters. So do I have a seconder? Councillor Manders, thank you very much. So would members of the committee who wish to speak please raise your hand? Councillor Manders? Yes, Councillor Manders, please go ahead.
It's a great proposal. We should support it.
It's brief. I like it. That's the best speech of the night. Excellent. Okay, are there any further comments or questions from councillors, members?
Far too many.
Is that a request? Okay. Councillor Gonsalves.
I had a question in general about grants. Can I ask it now or should I wait?
Is it relevant to this particular grant? I could take the question after we have dealt with this item. Yeah. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Right. If there's no further comments or questions, can I take the recommendation as approved unanimously, or do you wish to go to a vote?
Let's go for a vote.
Okay, I've heard going.
No, it's unanimous.
Okay, right, agreed unanimously. Okay, thank you very much, councillors. So I'll come back to you, Councillor Gonsalves, you had a question.
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's about point 13, where it says that the committee has about £14,000 worth of councillor awards funding left this year. So I think we've just approved about 8,000 or 9,000. So does that mean we have 5,000 left that we need to spend by the next committee meeting, or we lose?
Yes, James, could you give us an update on, well, the remaining balance of councillor award funding, please?
Yes, of course, it could be 1 minute. I'll give you the exact figure, but Councillor Gonsalves is absolutely right. That is the process and roughly how much you've got left to allocate in March. There are a couple of applications in train, which may well take the bulk of that, but if you have a particular project in mind, if you let me know relatively quickly, we can see if we can bring it forward.
Okay, so we have one last chance before the end of the financial year, which is our meeting in March, which, just to remind everybody, will be at the Corner House in Tolworth. Right, okay, so get your applications in to James. Right, so moving on quickly. Item 8 is the work programme. Members, please note the programme at Appendix D of the agenda. There are no urgent items, so I close the meeting at 8:53 p.m. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a good night.